Hello, fellow realists. I'm David Ravel, and this is ValueSide for Tuesday, May 10. For all of our articles and podcasts, visit valueside.com. Well, today, not that New World Order. From President George H.W. Bush 30 years ago to Klaus Schwab today, the mantra of Western national leaders has been a march toward a new world order, where, to quote H.W., the rule of law, not the rule of the jungle, will prevail. It was a vision that seamlessly slipped into a one-world government, a government, no doubt, led by those selfsame Western leaders. But as the new century unfolds, it becomes increasingly apparent that these New World leaders have failed to check on that part of the globe that lies beyond the international dateline. Because it's on that side of the world that comes most of the adamant resistance for this New World Order. And if there is one thing that we've learned from both Russia and China, they have a very different vision of just how this world should evolve. It seems as if with each day comes a new revelation of just how either Russia or China is asserting their own sovereignty, a sovereignty which has little or nothing to do with those New World powers to their west. The military incursion, their word, in Ukraine is the obvious example number one, but so too is the move to sell Russian oil and gas in rubles, not dollars, the move by the Chinese to counter the SWIFT settlement system with their own system, the continued pronouncements by the Chinese that Taiwan is but a wayward province of the mainland. And so it goes. But from an economic perspective, one of the major moves by Beijing came on Friday, when it was announced that the PRC would now require all state-run computers to be made only in China. This is an in-your-face rebuke of one of the few markets where America still holds dominance, high technology. Well, the U.S. lost manufacturing dominance years ago, and today is forced to purchase many of the goods and services we rely on from overseas producers. Can you say supply chain? One of the few areas we could claim some sort of competitive advantage was in the companies like Apple Computer, Microsoft, and all the rest. At least, we still had leading-edge software and information technology. But not anymore, says Xi Jinping. And worse, this move takes away that billion-population Chinese market, the one that American multinationals have been lusting after for as long as I can remember. Literally billions have been spent and trade secrets compromised just on the elusive promise that one day Americans would be able to sell to the Chinese. Well, Friday put a lie to that fantasy. Or at least it should have. Hello, West Coast America, from Silicon Valley to Richmond, Washington. Do you get it yet? China is going their own way, unwinding from the globalist dream. It should be clear to all that China feels they no longer need America. In fact, if anything, it may be the other way around, that America needs China. The Chinese clearly feel that they now possess, by hook or crook, sufficient technological know-how to go out on their own. This move is a huge vote of confidence for the Chinese PC makers, companies like Acer, Lenovo, or Asus. In short, China has rolled back the clock 50 years. They've tried the open-door policy initiated by President Nixon back in the 1970s. They've gained all the knowledge and all the trade secrets the West could provide. Now it's China that will call the shots. It's a new world order, all right, but not the one that Nixon, Bush, or Schwab imagined. Now, yesterday you and I discussed our theory that it's going to be increasingly difficult to have very high inflation that we're currently experiencing and a dramatically slowing economy. That over time, inflation will begin to wane as the economy slips. And there were a couple of slight indicators yesterday that we may be onto something. Or at least, we're not the only ones who feel this way. First up yesterday, the latest survey of consumer sentiment for future inflation. Now remember that the Consumer Price Index, latest reading, showed consumer inflation to be running at 8.5%. But the average American thinks that's over 2% higher than it will be in the months ahead. Consumer inflation expectations came in at less than 6.5%. Now, the other indicator was the auction on the 3- and 6-month T-bills yesterday. Both had lower yields than they had last month. Granted, not much lower, but still a far cry from the big jumps in T-bill yields that we've been seeing up to now as an indication that inflation is going hot. Short-term T-bills may also be looking for a slowing in inflation. Now keep this in mind. If this becomes a reality, if inflation does indeed begin to moderate, this will be exactly opposite from what the monetary authorities in this country are looking for. Today, we'll once again get 5 Fed governors taking to the podium and extolling the virtues of their fight against inflation. Could it be that the Fed is now completely headed in the wrong direction? Stay tuned. We'll be following this story closely. Now, overnight, Japan announced that their household spending has turned negative as the Japanese consumer has shut their wallets. Germany also reported that business sentiment in that country remains negative. While here in the U.S., the National Federation of Independent Businesses reports no change in their sentiment survey. Now, in earnings today, first up the other Sysco. This is Sysco Incorporated. It's the nation's largest food distributor, and they'll report earnings shortly. Sysco should draw a lot of interest today in light of all the news stories we're seeing about our food supply. Sysco may provide some of those answers to the food supply issue. Also reporting this morning will be healthcare company Welltower, as well as eye care company Alcon, and video game maker Electronic Arts. And then after the close, Occidental Petroleum reports, as well as the closely watched crypto company Coinbase. And that's the value side for this Tuesday, May 10. For all of our podcasts and blog posts, visit valueside.com. I'm David Ravel. ValueSide is independently written and researched. The views expressed are strictly my own.